Coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, close. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas. But coming to you live from Little Rock, Arkansas, it's the party manimal, Mr. 305 Live, Zane Riley here with Wrestling Road Stories.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much for being with me. I remember. Oh yeah, not a problem. I remember it was a while back that I had asked you to be on, man. And I've just been so busy with school and work and just trying to make time to get these done. And I'm so glad that we were able to get this going. So let's just jump right into it. Okay. And give me what you feel is your worst road story.
So you said this is good. Like there's going to be a good one and a bad one.
Yeah.
So this is going to kind of encompass both at once because it's quite a long story, but it's one of the better ones.
Sounds like a plan.
And it's not something being bad is like a relative thing. So for me, it sucked at the time, but it really had no effect on me and had a more of effect on literally everyone else. So in 2016, I did the Gathering of the Juggalos. And it was myself, Caleb Conley, the Man Scout, Jake Manning, and it was the last or next to last time that it was in like Cave-In Rock, Illinois, which was a wild place. So like this will hit all of it, and then I'll answer both questions at the same time, kind of, or good story, bad story, because there's so many stories. So we get there, and it's on this private. Guy owns this private like land in the middle of nowhere, and like 2 hours to it was like nothing but Amish people, and there's nothing like 2 hours past it forever. And so we get there. They don't allow cops on the grounds, but what they do have is a security team. Then they will like get you. They'll take you to the end of the property, and then the cops will do whatever cops do with you. So we get there, it's wild. We run into Madman Pondo, who was kind of our contact for the whole deal. And it just kind of hits the ground running. So we start doing drugs and casual drugs, not like we're not out here doing heroin or anything. So I get high. It starts off super wild. It's like a very big debaucherous scene. And it's set up the way you get in is like, we called it Gin Pop, which was like right in the middle. And then they had wrestlers in this like U shape around like a baseball diamond, like the outfield of a baseball diamond. And then that's where the wrestlers were. And then past that was all the musicians. And so we were in the middle part, but you could see it was like just a dust bowl of like the craziest shit ever. We had to go over this thing called the Drug Bridge and to get to the place that we were staying. Which is a very like popular, like everyone knows what the Drug Bridge is if you know anything about the Gathering of the Juggalos. I did not, because I'm not a Juggalo. Caleb, Juggalo. So we go across it and we're walking through, and there's just this bridge is maybe 20 feet, and people are just saying cocaine, heroin, prostitutes, everything. Buy anything you can buy, anything you want on this bridge. People are walking around with helium balloons full of whatever drug comes in helium, like balloons, you can just suck, and I don't know what that is. I didn't do that one. I did something different. So that's to lay the land. We call it Gin Pop. So the worst part of it, for someone else, not for me, we're going through, and like these people are freaking out, and they're dragging this lady to first aid, which was also part of the wrestling area. And someone had walked by her and sprayed her in the face with like liquid acid, like just like the drug acid. And she was not prepared. And so she thought people were abducting her, and they were like taking her to this first aid tent. And she's like flailing around, flipping out, thinking they were going to do things you can't really say on the social media anymore. They were going to assault her and stuff. So that would have probably been the worst part, just her freaking out. She was a lot younger than everyone else. So it was really the worst part of it all. And And that was kind of a quick one, I know, but that was like the lowest point of the gathering for that person. And for me, I mean, that sucked. I felt real bad for her. But then, um, there's a couple great parts as far as so the three of us. I'm the one. I will say that I was on drugs. I'm not. I don't know what the others were, but I was, and we were all definitely been drinking. So we're walking to go see. Caleb wanted to see this band called like Sepultura or something. It was like this older uh, metal band. He wanted to see them, and let's say we started here at A, and so we're all drunk and whatnot, and we just start walking, trying to find this the area they're playing at the concert, and we just hit a dead end, and we're just looking around, and like, oh, maybe it's over here. So we didn't completely cross the entire whole field. We're way over here now, and eventually, Caleb's like, "Where the fuck are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm following you guys. Where are you going?" And it's just that whole, "Oh, I was following you. I was following you. I was following you." We finally get back to the starting point, and the band was playing like right here beside us, and it was fucking insane. So okay, well, let's go. So we walk over there, and then so we're standing around. So let's backtrack a little bit. The drug that I did, uh, I had never partaken before, and I was expecting one thing, but what I got was something completely different. And in that moment of being corrected about, oh no, that's not what you did this, I immediately start to like mentally freak out as far as like, fuck. And then the whole part of like, this is just some random hole in the wall dirt festival. You're doing drugs. So then like I'm like, I think my insides are actively melting. Like I'm really freaking out. So we finally go see Sepultura and we're watching it. And now what occurred was, in reality, it's one of those reality versus perception, or what do you think is happening? They had a light show, and the light show was just doing that. And the guy that's playing guitar takes a guitar pick, throws it to the front person. That's all that happened. What I saw was these big blue baseball bats, like circling, like just trying to track down like airplanes, just going, 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 going. I'm freaking like, fuck, this is wild. Somebody had a folding camp chair behind me that I kept bumping into. They weren't in the chair. There was just a chair there. I kept bumping into it. It would always go, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're not there." Bump, you're still not there. This kind of like, so that happened a whole bunch. And then when he threw the guitar pick, it looked like he threw this massive frisbee into the crowd, and someone caught it. And then I start screaming, "Oh my God, he caught it. That was amazing." And then Caleb looks at me and goes, "What did you say?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I just like play like I didn't say anything, to the point that Jake, the man scout, goes, "Caleb, he didn't say anything. Shut up." And for the next 10 years at least, had Caleb convinced, well, not it wouldn't be 10 years, but the next 5 years or so, had Caleb believed that he imagined that entire situation, until randomly one day it got brought up and he was like, "Did you really say that?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck, dude, I said that. This is what was happening." And so 5 years, he's like, "You son of a bitch." So that was fun. And that just kind of sets the tone. The next day it came to, it was like their Saturday. So it was like their bigger shows. They used to do this deal where like they would have like Juggalo tryouts, but it was really, they would just let anybody that wanted to come over there just beat the shit out of each other in the ring. And maybe you got to do Bloody Mania. No training, you didn't have to have anything. And they would have judges. And it used to be like Necro Butcher, Madman Pondo, and like the Chris brothers. I think the time they were the Irish Airborne. They would have them watch and just give feedback. But they would just really watch everybody beat the shit out of each other. So this year they had Vampiro, and he didn't get it. Like, he didn't understand what was going on and why they were just letting these untrained people do this. So this guy just started throwing a free seminar in the middle of the gathering of the Juggalos, just Vampiro telling people how to wrestle. And that went on for like 2 or 3 days after the fact. It was pretty rad that he would do that. So that happened, and then that night was supposed to be the bigger bands, and Ric Flair was one of the hosts, and they had paid Ric Flair to introduce ICP. Uh, so that was going to happen at night. During the day, uh, we come across this dismantled car in the middle. And the way they would let you do it is that you could drive your vehicle on the property. Uh, if something had, like people would sleep in their cars and stuff, so they let you drive on the property. If something happened to your car, they would send out a maintenance car like to do repairs and stuff in case like your AC broke and it's hot as shit outside. They fixed it for you. Real cool concept. So what happened was this girl went to her tent and there was a dude in there stealing her stuff. He flips out, like she flips out, he runs. So everyone just starts chasing after him and they chase him forever. They chase him off in the woods. This guy just leaves. These people then go back, or no, they catch him, start to beat the shit out of him, and then security comes up and you're like, what are you doing? And they told him what happened. And he goes, don't stab him, don't kill him, and drove off. So they beat this ass's dude into the woods and he just leaves. Like, just now I'm on the road again, by foot. So they go back to his car, where I guess there had been like a spree of robberies that whole weekend. People just getting their stuff taken that they couldn't find. And they find his car, open his car, everybody's stuff's there. So everybody gets their stuff back. Yay. Then they start to stab his car, kick out his windows. They eventually flip it over and start ripping off whatever they can. Like, full on, the door is ripped off, windshield's kicked in, they're taking tire parts off. People are walking around. This dude walked around with his steering wheel tied on a rope around his neck, like Flava Flav, like the whole weekend. Insanity. Dude comes back. The security guard comes back. What are you guys doing? And they're like, this is his car. We found our stuff. We got it all back. He goes, well, just don't set it on fire, please. And they don't. They just fucking dismantle this car. The people that he rode with, or that rode with him to this show, then come up, and now their car that they had taken from wherever, like I think they were in Ohio to Illinois, been destroyed. Turns out this dude stole his girlfriend's car to come here, did that, and they destroyed this girl's car, which I suppose you could say is a negative thing. Another bad story. Not for me. Fucking hilarious. So then the clowns are playing. They're playing 2 nights. So night 1, the clowns play. Ric Flair's up there, and he's like introing bands up until them, and like he introduced like Tech Nine and somebody else. But Juggalos throw shit. That's kind of their deal. And he introduced like 2 or 3 bands, and like a bottle would kind of get on the stage. And he was like, calm down now. And then, like, he always had the same things. Like, you guys are the Juggalos. You like to party. I like to party. And then, right about then, right before he introduces the Juggalos, the bottle comes, hits close. He goes, hey, stop that. Then one hits him in the shoulder and one hits him in the head. Just water bottles. He goes, okay, good night. Walks off, and you can see him actively get into his like tour bus deal that they had for him and just drive off to the back before he even introduced ICP. And I'm sure they're pretty upset about that. I'm pretty sure that was very expensive. And then that led to night 2, or the next one would have been the day that we all wrestled, and I couldn't tell you what I did to save my life. I think I was in like a death match lumberjack thing where like I was a lumberjack. I think they made me wear like a ski mask. So then after that, though, we got to go on stage during the Fago stuff. When they're spraying it all over the crowd, they brought all the wrestlers on stage. And I guess the story gets bad for me here, finally, for me. We get on stage, we're all doing the thing. Oh, so we're watching them do it. They're going to bring us up at this certain part. And it's a big show. Like, they bring in like a semi-truck full of sodas to shake and throw. So we're watching, and they have us do like come to the side and wait. And during the show, one of the clowns, the one that is doing stuff now, that's Violent J, did this deal where like he'd shake it up, put it on his finger, and would just kind of release it magic missile style over the crowd, and it was awesome. And I was like, that's going to be my fucking move. That's the one I'm going to do to these clowns. And so we're hanging out. All right, let's go up. And it's Caleb, Colt Cabana, and me. And it comes time. Here's my moment. I'm about to do fucking magic soda missile. And as soon as I go to do it, Cabana slams into me. And instead of doing like upward like this, I do downward like that. And just drilled this poor girl in the front row in the face. And she goes down. And she may be dead. And if you have someone that died in 2016 in Illinois, unbeknownst how, I think I killed her with a Diet Fago, and I'm so sorry. And then like we're all covered in soda, and so then my phone, and this is the time when phones weren't waterproof, kids. Nowadays you can put them wherever. This was back in the bad days of phones. I had to be out in the middle of nowhere for 3 more days without a cell phone because of this. But I killed that lady too. So I mean, I guess that should be the moral of the story and what I took away from it. But also, phones were different then, and I didn't get to have one for a while. So there you go. There's a bundle of road stories.
I love it.
And there's been dumber shit, but like this dude in some like not Philly northeast area, we rented a high spots ring for a show at an equestrian stadium, which was nothing but dirt, and no one helped us tear it down. He ran off before paying us, and then Gold Dust watched us tear it down in full gear. Not like you guys, the sucks to suck guys, but like just that's really messed up, guys. I'm really sorry this is happening to you. But he's in full deal, and it's kind of it's weird. But yeah, it will be the best and worst of times.
Oh man, no, that was great. I was in it the whole time, man. I'm like, what's he gonna say next? Like, yeah. It sounds like a wild one, man. All right, yeah, I really appreciate that story.
Of course.
The kind of things that I love to hear, man. Like, definitely gonna have to get some more of those at another time. All right, so we're gonna move on to some questions. Okay. The first one is one of my favorites because it always intrigues me. So, where is your go-to place to eat when you travel?
It's my go-to place to eat when I'm fucking at home. And it kind of encompasses places, but it's going to be like Chili's. Chili's is if you had a good payday. Applebee's usually because there's far more Applebee's on the road. It's my absolute favorite place to eat, like Applebee's and Chili's, because it's not necessarily that it's good. They always have booze. They're open late. The food always tastes the same no matter what one you go to. You know exactly what you're getting. And I like that comfort and that idea. And I like to drink after shows. I don't like to stop, grab a burger on the way unless I'm like solo driving or we have someplace to be. I like to take a time. So yeah, Chili's and Applebee's are my absolute. And at home, where I live in Charlotte, the closest bar to my house is a Chili's, and that shit's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
I go there at least once a week.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. All right, so the next one is a 2-part question. Who was your first favorite wrestler, and who is your favorite wrestler now?
My first favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
My first favorite wrestler was Bret Hart. From a kid. My current favorite wrestler is this is gonna sound like a joke, and I say it because people laugh, but it's also the truth. It's a tie, and it's either between Big Bill or Jeff Jarrett. And I'll tell you why. And it has nothing to do with anything other than, Jeff Jarrett is the fact that he's Teflon, and like no matter what he's ever done, he's always welcome back with open arms somewhere. And I just think that's making such a longevity. And he's also really damn good. Like, I mean, he's good, regardless of what you think or what you think about wrestling or him or any of it. He's a good wrestler. But I just appreciate the fact that he can stick around forever. The reason that it's Big Bill is slightly different. So I work at AEW as a real job. Do not wrestle. That's why you don't see me on TV. I do big boy things in the back. So I work at AEW, and I started around the small run when they did house shows. Uh, they did maybe five, but one of his first shows was a house show, and one of my first shows was a house show. And you've seen the product. Everyone is very balls to the wall. Every show, every TV show, there's a million highlights. Every match is a match of the year, and cool. I mean, that's it's we have our niche in the world. Um, we do this house show, and everyone on the house show is wrestling like it is Dynamite. This is before Collision, I believe, but Dynamite. Like in every pay per view, they're wrestling the exact same intensity, and there's 1,500, 800 people there. It's a small crowd, so they're just killing themselves. And this is one of Big Bill's first shows, and he comes out and does nothing but WWE house show comedy gaga, and like I loved it so much. It looked like it's completely different from everything on the card. I think he wrestled. He might have wrestled Orange on one of them. He was there for a loop of them. He might have wrestled Orange one night. He might have wrestled a tag match against the boys, stuff like that. But he was doing super slow, super character, body slam, crowd work. It was great, and I thought it felt like just such a little bit of fresh air compared to what not only what I surrounded with at work, but also just independence in general. Like, I mean, everyone does this. I did a 150, 200 people show this weekend. You were at it.
Yep.
And then everybody that goes out there that thinks they can do a million spots or whatever, that's their prerogative, and that's, what some people like. Mm-hmm. But Bill doing all of that made me a huge Bill fan. And also, he's just a really nice dude. Like, just real humble dude that, and he doesn't really have to be. Like, he came from the Fed. He made that Fed money. He was in a big tag team. He doesn't have to be nice, but he just fucking is.
Yeah, I've met him before. He is a nice guy. I like him.
So, yeah, those are my two current favorites. And then I think Orange is great. I like a bunch of the CMLL guys that we've been bringing up. I was real huge on Commander when he first came in. Do stuff like that. Like, I actually also appreciate wrestlers that other people appreciate, but like, it's Jeff Jarrett and Big Bill, if you ask me.
I'm with you on that. I love that. That's really cool, man. Who is your favorite person to wrestle?
Favorite person to wrestle? I hate to wrestle, so it's hard. It's always kind of gone in shifts, and like it's weird how it plays. So like when I was a lot younger, Colt Cabana was like my favorite wrestler. I was a comedy guy. He was a comedy guy. I looked up to him a whole bunch, and then like I wrestled him a lot earlier in my career, and like, okay, cool, I did it. Now I don't have to do this anymore. Like I got you get your dream match. You're like, okay, cool. But then it became like every show after that, I was wrestling Cabana to some point where I was like, I don't want to fucking wrestle Colt Cabana anymore. Will you stop? And like, so you hit your moments like that. There was a total, like a whole summer where maybe 6 months, 3 months to 6 months, where Rob Killjoy and I wrestled at least twice a weekend against each other, to the point where it's like, we stopped really wrestling and just thought of ways to pop ourselves, which we did a bunch. Like, I know one time he did this thing where he had bubble gum in his mouth, and we're wrestling. I just stick my hand there and pull it out, and I start chewing it. And we spent the entire match just pulling gum out of each other's mouths, and just because after a while, it's like it's autopilot here. Like, you fans are going to see good stuff. To us, this is just like not motions, but like, because there's still the improv of the art. But it's like, man, where's the entertainment for us? And so that was something we did. Caleb Conley and I used to wrestle the Bravado Brothers a bunch. That was always fun, but they just fought the entire time trying to call stuff. And one time we called like it took us 4 hours to call a match because they wouldn't stop arguing with each other.
Oh man.
But again, like, it goes up and down. Like, I would really like to wrestle Jake Manning. I hate wrestling Caleb because he's so good. And like, I'm just like, man, I'll just hold you down, brother. that's why I always try to team with them. That's why we do a tag team, so I don't have to wrestle them ever. Currently, it's just I've taken, now that I've started doing this job and I have another job in the same field somewhere else, I've been taking a lot less wrestling because I finally make a living in wrestling, and I don't want wrestling to get in the way of I can get hurt, and then like I can't get hurt in Reeds or High Point, North Carolina, and then not be able to come to my job here at AEW or my other job at GalaxyCon. So I'm being a lot more selective and slowing down a stupid amount. Like until you saw me this past weekend, I don't think I wrestled in like 7 months.
Yeah. I think the last time you wrestled, I think I saw you wrestle.
Yeah, probably. And not for lack of people reaching out, but just like being like, I just hit 40 at the beginning of the year. So it's like really it's one of those like weigh the risks deal. So that's been a bigger part. But then like, so after not wrestling for 7 months and then having that match this weekend with the Heat Seekers, who we've wrestled a million times, those guys are guys, you know. No, I love Sigmund and Elliot. I like Sigmund more than Elliot, but Elliot knows that. So, but we wrestled those guys a million times, and those are one of those things of like, how can we pop ourselves in this kind of situation? But I have to be a lot more selective. So, like, I can't just go out there and take some pile driver on the ground by some new kid, and then like now I can't feed my dog anymore, you know. But yeah, a long answer to a couple people at a different time. You know, I like to wrestle some people.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. No, I'm with you on that, man. I wanted to try to catch Sigmund after the match. He jetted out a little early, but I noticed he shaved the triangle off his chest, and I wanted to give him shit about it.
He shaved it off this time?
Yeah, it wasn't there. He was completely clean.
I noticed it wasn't, but I used to see Sigmund all the time.
Yeah,
and would notice it, but then I didn't see him as much after the demise of the demise of PWX. So it didn't even register to me that he did it, like had it shaved, and then like in the match somebody was talking about it, and I was like, oh, I guess so. I didn't know it was that memorable of a thing, because I do remember the day he did it. Like I remember the first time he did it, and he came and like we wrestled him, and we're like, what the fuck is with your chest? And he's like, I don't know, man, I thought it was different. And I'm like, all right, well, you look stupid, but let's go.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I it's one of those things that does stand out about him. It was the first time I saw him like that. I was like, dude, yeah. So when I didn't see it this time, and everyone was like, you know, his wife probably had him shave it. And I was like, probably. I bet she did.
I bet so. She could either wear a shirt or.
Yep. So, all right. So the next one's also a very fun question. Do you have a Ricky Morton story that you can tell?
Everybody has that Ricky Morton story, but mine's always Robert Gibson.
Okay, I'll take a Robert Gibson.
I always get Robert. Ricky's, not to say that Robert's not always been nice to me. Ricky's always been great. I have a couple, but the most memorable one actually involved Robert, and this was one of my very first. So I had trained at this place for I'd wrestled this one place for like 3 years, and they were very anti you going out and wrestling elsewhere. Just because they train people their way to wrestle people their way. It wasn't a bring in play. This was just, this guy ran a show in a little auditorium, and that was just his deal. That's what he wanted. And so I did that for 2 years and kind of was like, man, I'm not, this is not really where I want to go. So I started wrestling at this other place in Spartanburg, South Carolina, just doing little. I then met George South and went through high spots and all that stuff, and then ended up in this place in Spartanburg and Rock and Roller on the show. And this was like my first real, they were doing TV tapings, the TV tapings that never show up on YouTube, let alone anywhere else. They were doing TV tapings, and I was fucking, this is my first one, and I was like, this is gonna be amazing. This is so cool. There's fucking 150 people out here. But then like as it went on, there was like 27 matches, and like I don't think we ended up wrestling until like almost midnight, and then like all the names wrestled at like second, third match. but my story was they had talked to me a few times there and knew me from high spots and stuff. And then Ricky just goes, "Hey, buddy, will you go over there and ask Robert what time it is?" And then I go over and I look, and then he has his the old school wristwatch just dicker wrapped around the wrist. And I was like, "You have a ward at 4 o'clock." And then I fucking got out of there. But it was Robert Gibson showing me his dick. It was probably so that's one. And then like me and Man Scout wrestled him for this thing was like big time wrestling in like Lincolnton, North Carolina. And everybody went so long. And they're like, we're back there, and like Ricky and Robert are calling a match with us. This was after they'd done like the Young Bucks stuff and the Hardy stuff. So they were like calling matches at the time. And they were putting stuff together. And everybody went so long that they finally came up to us and were like, "Now, boys, if you want, we'll have the match that we called." And then I go, "Or you know what we could do? We come out, you guys come out, duck this clothesline, double drop kick, and we're done. Nobody gives a fuck about us. They just want to hear your fucking entrance music." He's like, "Well, that's what I was going to say, but I was going to give you the option." So we did that and did it the exact same way, and it got the biggest reaction of the entire show. Just duck this guy, double drop kick. To which, and this has happened multiple times, again, Robert will call a double drop kick, and when it comes time, Ricky will drop kick, and Robert just punches you in the face. And I took the punch in the face. And it's always Robert, you always hear Ricky jump up, see Robert not jump up, go, "Oh, damn it, Robert," and then drop kick. And then Caleb and I wrestled him one time in Kentucky. And again, they were calling spots. So we called a whole bunch. And then Robert just decided he wasn't going to tag in and just never got in. Never made a hot tag, nothing. Just hung out. And I was like, what the fuck is happening with you? But then it came out that he was getting hip surgeries. So like, fuck me, I guess. But yeah, I'm sure everyone does have a Robert story, a Ricky story. But yeah, mine was more. I've had more run-ins with Robert and Robert's dick than Ricky, in that memorable of a way.
I'm with you, man. That's wild. That's wild. All right, so the next one, I know you got one of these because you already mentioned him. But do you have a George South story?
That's been my entire career is George South stories, guys.
That's awesome.
Okay, all right, buddy. All right, I was there. No, listen, stop. Get it again. Fruit. So my girlfriend left me long ago because we had done we were doing a show at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then we were going to load up the ring, drive it, which is Concord, North Carolina. We were going to drive it to another speedway in Atlanta, have a night show, tear it back down, come back to Concord to have a Sunday show, the same place. And that would be about a 5-hour drive, let's say. So we did the show the Saturday. We tear down. We drive down. And he goes, "I'm going to go around Atlanta to not have to hit any traffic." Mind you, we're going through Atlanta at 3 a.m. There is no traffic. And he decides to take this 7-hour detour around Atlanta to go set up this ring in Atlanta. We get there, and it's at this car dealership, not a speedway, or like I said earlier, a car dealership. And they're like, "All right, we're going to sleep now. I'm going to be right back." So then he goes away and somehow manages to shimmy his way into the garage that we're setting this ring up in. There's no one here. These doors are locked. This is a functioning business. He manages to get his way into this place, open all the doors, and then just has us start to set the ring up right there. The people show up like, "How the fuck did you get in here?" And he's like, "Oh, a door. There's a door over there." And then we tore it down, drove it back. Same deal. having to beat that traffic that's non-existent. Get back to set it out. He's like, we're just going to drop it off and you can go. I know George will refer to your girlfriends as Miss and then a rock band. So like there was a Miss Journey, there was a Miss whatever. My girlfriend's name was Miss Black Sabbath. And she could give one shit less about wrestling at the time. Well, ever. It's not like this changed her mind today. She could give a shit less about wrestling. And so, and I'm still young in the game. So like, I'm like, well, I gotta set these rings up, you know? And she got so fucking mad because we got back. He's like, we're just going to drop it off. And I got back. I'm getting ready to get in the car. He's well, just help me put the ring posts out real fast and you can go. And so I put the ring posts out, go to leave, get in the car. Oh, hold on. And then we ended up just setting the entire ring up. And she was fucking livid. And we did not last much longer past that. So George South is the reason I never got happiness at a young part of my wrestling career. That's my George South. There's so many. They're just like, I like his with other people better.
Dude,
he gives you nicknames. I don't know how many people talk about George South on here. I'm sure everyone. He gives you nicknames, and mine was Joe LeDuc. It's after a old timer Canadian wrestler. He was a lumberjack. He would call me Joe LeDuc, and then one day he called me Zane Riley, and like I thought he was mad at me, and like I just didn't think we were friends anymore because he called me. I didn't know he knew my real name. But then one day he got this son of a bitch in his class, and he named that guy Zane Riley, and I was like, "What the fuck does that mean, George?" And he's like some emo swoop hot topic kid that was like dirt young. I don't know if he's still around anymore. I don't think so. I think he quit pretty soon after there. But yeah, he named another person after me.
That's hilarious. I think it was Stuart Snodgrass.
Yeah,
he was Bruce Lee because he wore a Bruce Lee shirt.
There was a kid they called Darth Vader because he wore a Darth Vader shirt.
I was like, that's hilarious. So, fun fact is, my kid, he's 10. He's gonna be 11 in next month, and he's currently amateur wrestling.
Oh, and
cool. He's amateur wrestling here in Gastonia, and George is gonna train him.
Gastonia?
Yeah. I live in Kings Mountain now.
That Chili's I go to every week is right there on Franklin Boulevard.
We'll have to meet up sometime. Okay. Yeah, I live in Kings Mountain now, but I used to live like next to the Food Lion, like right next to exit 13. Oh, wow. So so it's down the road. But
I live behind Ashbrook High School.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I moved down here because it was cheaper to build a house than when I worked in Charlotte. So yeah. But oh man, I'm surprised we haven't ran into each other. That's amazing.
No kidding. Especially when we ran each other in High Point.
Yeah.
This is really specific to people that aren't. If you have one person that doesn't live in North Carolina, Charlotte area, they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. But yeah, so like right now George calls him baby because he's my baby. So and I'm truly hoping that when he gets there, that sticks. And then George
would be 30-year-old man named baby. So do you go see the New Millennium Championship wrestling shows? Do they still have those at the Armory?
New Millennium. You know what? I always see banners for them to have a show, but like they never update the date until it's like a week before, and I'm already like booked at 3 different shows.
Hell yeah. Yeah, those are cut my teeth there at a young age also.
Okay, awesome. I thought about sending out a message. They're fun. I thought about sending out a message in like some of the Kings Mountain groups and being like, hey, do you guys want wrestling around here? Because like, I mean, we got a lot of guys. We got, between Shelby and like, Charlotte.
Yeah,
we've got some people. If I talk to George, I'm sure I can have a squad easily.
Oh, he's got one ready right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving their lives away to wrestling, getting their girlfriends to leave them.
Yeah, I mean, see, I think if more people wrestled like George, and they could probably have a longer career. I mean, I watch George wrestle multiple times a month, and
at GCW and
AML.
I think he's ready to do. I believe he's going to do the Gathering in a couple weeks.
Yep.
I believe I'm going back. One of those
Are you going to be there?
I believe so.
Awesome. Yeah, I plan on being there. So
Hell
good
yeah,
deal.
man.
Yeah, we'll grab. They got a bar there. I'll grab a drink with you.
I'll show you the drugs that I did that night.
Okay.
It was Molly.
Oh.
Yeah, nice. I didn't know I was taking Molly.
Oh man. All right. So last question.
Okay.
And as if you could only watch one wrestling match for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It's a bit of a tie, and I can't really like the one match is just insanely good. I can't tell you why I love this match so much, but it's Takeshi Morishima versus Takeshi Rico.
Okay.
New Japan back in the day. They were former tag team partners. Now they're wrestling each other, and it's just two big dudes just beating every living shit out of it. And it's the most simplest match, and it goes for 20 fucking minutes. But like, I just really enjoyed that match, and I watch it constantly. Like, I'll just go back and watch it now. I'm a huge Morishima fan. Like, he's my favorite my favorite Japanese wrestler of all time, nice. And I really liked his Ring of Honor run and all that. And then I think part of it is because they became very good friends of mine. But Steve Corino versus C.W. Anderson, I think it was like Anarchy Rules 2002. It's either between 2000 and 2002. And it's such an amazing match, and just how great they are. And then to hear there's a spot in the match that like CW kept trying to call with, like CW kept wanting to call the entire match a bunch. And then Steve's like, I got it, I fucking got it. And then blows the fucking spot. And CW just kicks him in the head at the beginning. And you fucking got it, huh? They probably those two. I'm sorry, that's my least entertaining of answers that I have. But yeah, those two would be it.
No, those are great. And I mean, like, I love that you got the Steve Corino and CW in there. I love both those guys. Yeah.
Amazing wrestlers.
Yeah.
And pseudo decent people. No, I'm just kidding. CW is amazing.
Oh yeah, man, I love that guy, dude. So yeah, that's the last thing I got is where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me on social media. I'm getting to that age, kids, where I'm not really active on it a whole bunch. But right now, for the time being, you can catch me on the social medias in some variation of Zane Riley. It's right there, probably down there, that little nameplate. It's spelled that way. But it's some form of Zane Riley, because that's my real name. I'm not creative, so I couldn't come up with a good wrestling name. I had some ideas, and it just never really played out. Then Twitter is ZaneXCore, ZaneXCore, because I used to be a hardcore kid back in the day when I got Twitter. But I really just read it for the apocalypse news, and then you can hit me up on the other stuff, but it's going to take me forever to reply because I don't ever get on it.
I'm with you.
But I'll make sure to post this as my last social media post.
Oh no, not the last one.
Yeah, and I just fucking shut shop down.
Hey man, I was very entertained, man. I knew, like, just from watching you in the ring and just talking to you when we're all, at shows, that I was excited to do this one, and
you're good, man.
Not disappoint, brother.
Always happy to talk about myself and drugs and alcohol. And the last two outlaws.
So yeah, but I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much, and
thank you guys.
Sounds like we might have to grab a drink at Chili's at some point.
Man, I'm gonna fuck that Chili's up. I'll come down to Kings Mountain, man. There's some bars there. There's that one place on Main Street.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, because like I said, we're not far from each other, so we'll make that happen. All right, buddy. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.